Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Hiba, and here on my channel I cover recent missing person cases. Today I want to talk again about Kandi Green Gonzalez. More specifically, I want to talk about her boyfriend Jeff Blackburn and a petition that I've created to help put pressure on the local law enforcement. So this will be my third video about Kandi. So if you're not sure who she is or don't know about her case, I recommend you go ahead and watch my first two videos about her, which I will link below. But to give you a brief overview, Kandi disappeared on June 1st, 2021 from Prestonburg, Kentucky. She was last seen in a yard on Abbott Creek Road running into a creek. Leading up to this, Kandi had asked a woman to call her mother for her, but the call went unanswered. They did leave a voicemail, and in that voicemail we learned that Kandi was kicked out by her boyfriend that day. This interaction was recorded, and during this interaction a lot of people say that Kandi's behavior was erratic or frantic. In my previous video I delve into possible reasons why this is, so if you're interested in that, just go ahead and check out that video. So there is an update on Kandi's trail. Like I mentioned, Kandi was seen running into the creek. Although her shoes were found in that creek, in my last video I discussed that Kandi did actually make it out of the creek and went up a hillside. But we now know that according to Kandi's family, her footprints actually led back towards her home. In fact, her footprints were seen across the road that Kandi lived on. So if you recall, this day Kandi had been kicked out by her boyfriend of approximately 2 years, Jeff Blackburn. In my first video about Kandi's disappearance, I theorized that she may have opted to go back home, potentially because she felt like she had nowhere else to go. She may have even attempted to go back just to pick up her phone or some of her other belongings, because if you recall, she didn't have any of her belongings with her. In previous videos, I mentioned Jeff's criminal history and his connection to law enforcement through his father, John K Blackburn. His father, John Blackburn, used to be the sheriff of Floyd County and was also the former president of the Kentucky Sheriff's Association. But I'd like to take this time to tell you a little bit more about Jeff and about some of the experiences that others have had with him in the past. A few of these experiences were shared with me by a friend of Jeff's former girlfriend. The person who shared them with me, her name is Krista. For privacy reasons, I will not be sharing her last name. I will also not be sharing the names of the women involved. So Krista shared with me that her friend called her at around midnight to 1 a.m. and told her that Jeff was going to kill her and that he had hurt her. Her friend also told her that Jeff wouldn't let her leave the house. Obviously, Krista was concerned, so her and another friend started driving over to Jeff's house. On their way there, they called the police so that they would meet them there. When they arrived to Jeff's house, they informed him that the police were called, and to that, he just laughed in their faces. When the police finally did arrive, Krista described them as being buddy-buddy with Jeff and simply telling him to let the girl go. He responded to the police that she could leave whenever she wanted and that he had no intention of stopping her. When the woman emerged from the house, it was clear that something had happened to her. Her shirt had been torn apart, she had a busted lip, and her earring had been ripped out of her ear. Despite all of this, the sheriffs didn't make a report and didn't even speak to the woman. Krista told me that as they drove away, Jeff and law enforcement were standing on his porch still chatting with each other. And apparently holding women against their will is something that Jeff has allegedly done more than once. A different woman was allegedly locked in a motel room for days by Jeff. During that time, he was regularly violent towards her. Along with the incident of being held at the motel, she was also locked in the bathroom and choked. I've heard numerous other stories of Jeff's violence towards women and towards people in general. I just wanted to give you some insight into who this man is and the things that he's potentially capable of. From what I've gathered, many of Jeff's serious offenses, if not all of them, have gone unpunished. Again, this might be because of who his father is and who they know. The reason I mention these occurrences now is because Kandi was kicked out by him, and now we know that she was traced back towards her home. I also think it might explain why Kandi was acting so frantically or strangely in the videos that we have of her. Some have pointed to drug use to potentially explain why Kandi was acting the way she was. While that's entirely possible, I also think other possibilities should be considered. Knowing what Jeff is capable of, is it possible that Kandi was acting strangely because she was terrified and running for her life? We do know that Kandi and Jeff got into an altercation and that it was bad enough for Kandi to get thrown out, or that it was bad enough for her to run out without any of her belongings, not even her cell phone. I've mentioned this before, but the fact that she didn't take her cell phone to me indicates that she was likely in a rush and just wanted to get out of there. Could she have known or heard about Jeff's potential victims in the past? Knowing or hearing about Jeff's previous victims and knowing that he's able to seemingly get away with almost anything, it makes complete sense that Kandi would be terrified. It makes sense that Kandi would be paranoid of strangers and would just want to be around her family. I just want to emphasize that I'm just putting this information out there. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. People have come forward and told me this information themselves. You can even see some of it in my previous videos and the comments. Like we all know by now, law enforcement has not been very helpful in the search for Kandi. I've created a petition on change.org to put some pressure on the Kentucky State Police and on the Floyd County Sheriff's Office to do their jobs and to potentially bring other agencies in if necessary. I will link that in the description below, and I would appreciate it if you would sign it and share it. Kandi's disappearance deserves to be thoroughly investigated, and it seems like the law enforcement in that area has failed her from the very beginning. Kandi's family deserves answers, and they've had to do so much of this on their own, including bringing in search teams and independent searchers to media and so on. The family does have a GoFundMe, which I will link below. Also, one of the search teams, Brothers Underwater Recovery, will be selling t-shirts, and half of the proceeds will go directly to the mother, Betty Dixon. So I'll also let you know how to get a t-shirt in the description if you're interested in that. But again, I urge you to sign that petition and to share it with others. But that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.